school is getting burned down. Kids cannot go to school. Kids and grown-ups are homeless. They don't have anywhere to live.
That's, oh man, look at that. Sums it up. He's right. Little 6-year-old, right? Well, many of the schools in the area in Los Angeles did actually reopen today. A number of them did, even with the fires still burning and, you know, the threat of more to come. The Los Angeles Unified School District working through the weekend, replacing air filters before the children came back. Outdoor activities certainly limited, but we're joined by Tony Thurmond once again. Tony, the superintendent of public instruction for the California Department of Education there on the state level. All right. Welcome back. So I say many did, but obviously some just couldn't because they, you know, as the little guy was talking about, they burned down, they were destroyed. Is there any plan for those children that you know of?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You know, today I'm at the Pasadena Unified School District, where schools have continued to be closed, and we were out today handing out meals to families that are in dire need of emergency resources. Thousands of individuals who've been impacted in some way, many who've lost their home. And so schools will work to reopen. Obviously, our largest school district, Los Angeles, did reopen today. There's probably some 41 schools closed today in the region, and we're working with them. But safety is the first thing. We know the winds are kicking up again, so we're just cautioning and urging folks to be safe, and we will help them get through these difficult times. Yeah,
we've been all over that today. That's what we've been really focused on more than anything is the wind and thinking about whether it's tonight, tomorrow morning, throughout the day tomorrow, and they say into Wednesday. It's a real threat that remains for the area. On the state level, what can be done to coordinate for some of these children that we're talking about, whether it's in Pasadena or elsewhere? What can you do resource-wise?
You know, immediate needs, we start with food and other resources. We've helped school districts that are looking for ways to find temporary and emergency housing for school staff and families. The big question that every school has is, can their funding be guaranteed so they don't lose funding for days when schools are closed or when families have to move away and that affects their attendance and their revenue. And we will guarantee that they will not lose revenue because this is out of their control.
Right.
And so
there's no, what is it, 180 days? Or I don't know what it is out there. Is that what you're supposed to do in a year or whatever? So you're saying that's waived?
What's the issue is that districts get funding every day a student is at school and loses it every day a student is not there.
I see what you're saying. Right.
So what we've said is we're going to guarantee funding for our schools because this is a tragedy and they could not prevent it. If they can make up the time, we want them to make up the time, but we don't want fear of losing revenue to be the reason that a school stays open in a time that's not safe. And so we've made that our first priority, safety first, and we will help make sure kids get a quality education.
Now, is anything that, I mean, you know, there's been so much criticism, I understand from what we went through. We all had it with our kids during COVID about remote learning and all the rest. I think it was UCLA, they were in remote learning until maybe the 17th on the college level, and maybe they've extended it, I'm not sure. But what do you think about the use of some of those methods in this case? Is it being considered or?
Schools are using computers when they can, if they can't be physically open,
right.
For some level of remote learning. We know nothing replaces in-person instruction, but we have to wait until conditions are right and air quality is good. In some cases, kids don't have computers. They had to leave so quickly, they left everything behind. And so we will help schools to replace devices and get resources. And we will make sure that kids learn. Look, California is the only state that guarantees preschool for every 3 and 4-year-old. We give extra resources for more tutoring and after-school programs, arts and music education, and of course, free lunches, universal meals for our kids. And so we'll make sure our kids have what they need to learn. First, we're making sure that they're safe in every aspect.
You were talking about that on the air quality level. So that's filters, and that's being done now in some schools, or it already was done this weekend, right?
Yes, LA Unified worked through the weekend on air filters. Where I am today at Pasadena Unified, they also have air filters. You know, students will sometimes wear masks and other things to help with air quality. And so right now people are saying, how can we get help as we try to rebuild, as we try to find a place to stay? They've lost their home. You know, schools have been damaged, you know, at least a dozen, some destroyed. And so we're working through all of the variables to figure out how to help our our school districts in the state.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.